All right, welcome everybody to the second episode of the test chat, the second official episode of the test chat. The first one was not recorded because of technical limitations, but this one is getting recorded and will be available on our YouTube channel. So, this is an open session. Anybody can talk at any point of time. Okay, so but some housekeeping rules when one person is advised that others are on mute so that it gives a better experience for everybody else. Today on the agenda we have a discussion on test strategy. Now I want to put a disclaimer out first that a test strategy is something that cannot be prepared in an hour. It cannot be prepared in a day. It takes a while to prepare that, and there are multiple parties who are involved in preparing a test strategy. You know, yes, it is the responsibility of the tester. However, it needs to be collaborative. It needs to be a collaborative effort of the tester with the various other people who are involved in the entire project. So the tester needs to collaborate with fellow testers, with developers, with the business, with product owners, with stakeholders, and if they have access to the customers, end users, then with them as well. So everybody is equally involved, and that is where we drive the idea of quality being everybody's responsibility. People often ask, okay, yes, quality is everybody's responsibility, but how do you implement it? And a test strategy is a good example of that, where you pull in ideas from everybody, put it together, and then execute it so that everybody is aware of what test you're going to do and what you're not going to do. So I had given an assignment a day before yesterday, and I repeated that yesterday as well, asking all of you to look at the Amazon app and list down all the questions that you can think of just by looking at that app. Okay, just by going through that app. I know that all of you have actually worked on it. I know some of you have told me personally that you've worked on it. One of you, in fact, has shown me the work already, and I was very impressed already. So don't be afraid to share it with the rest of the group. Is what I'm going to say, because it's all about sharing. So we're going to first start by looking at what is 5W and 1H for the benefit of those who missed my presentation at TribalConf, where I briefly introduced the 5W1H. We are going to go over it very briefly again, and then we're going to talk about it. So let me just pull it up and share my screen. Okay, can you all see my screen?
Not yet. Okay, yeah. Now I can see.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Just a moment. How do I minimize this GoToMeeting window? Yeah, okay. Okay, so I will just walk you through what 5W1H is. So basically, I came up with this idea because I was kind of pushed to a corner by one of my managers. Because one day he suddenly asked me, "You are the tester, and you need to talk about test strategy." And I started talking about, the heuristic test strategy model, and it went much like a bouncer to him. So it just went past his head. He did not get anything. And then I realized that it is very difficult to convey, something in the testing language to somebody who doesn't understand testing that much. So we have to make it easy for people. We have to make sure that we give them a clear idea of what we are doing, and that is the reason why I came up with this one. And this is pretty simple, because what I was doing that day before I went into that discussion was actually listing out all the questions, looking at the requirements, not even the product, but I was looking at the requirements and listing out all the questions that I could possibly do. And then I said, a better idea is to bucket them in, the 5W and 1H format. Now, what that is very simple. The 5W 1H stands for what, why, who, where, when, and how. So we categorize the questions under what, why, who, where, when, and how, which means that what tells you exactly what the context is, and tells you more about what we are going to do and what the product does, and what is the problem it is trying to solve, etc. Why is basically the purpose, the reason behind why you are doing something, or why is there a functionality or a feature being built. Who is basically your user persona, who's going to be using it, who's going to do what in terms of the product. Okay, and where is basically the location where it is going to be deployed, or changes are going to be placed, and when is basically the timeline, and how is the method. So that is how this has been distributed. Moving on, so some examples of what could be questions like, what problem are we trying to solve? What does the product do? Now notice that there is a follow-up question immediately. So I've added that as well. By doing what it does, is the product solving the problem it is supposed to solve? Is a question that I would ask, and I would ask it repeatedly through the journey of the product. Is it actually solving the problem it is supposed to solve? Because oftentimes we have seen that the product solves problems, but it solves the problems which is created by the product itself, or during the development process of the product itself. So that is a question that you need to ask, and if the answer to that question at any point is no, then you may have to go back and look at your product development strategy, or look at the product that is being built. So the questions that we normally ask, are we building the product right, and are we building the right product, comes under this particular question. Okay, so if you want to have two more sub questions under this, you could put those two questions as well. Okay, and generally, if you notice, the follow-up questions have very closed-ended answers. They have either yes or no as their answer, and that makes life easy for people to do further analysis. We go ahead and ask questions like, okay, what is the environment, what are the risks involved, and so on and so forth. Now next we look at the why. So for why, these are a couple of examples of questions that we could actually ask. And moving on, who, that is for the user persona, we can ask these sort of questions like, who will use the product, who takes the decisions. That's a very important question to ask, because when you are working on a test strategy, you need to know that, okay, if there is a change that has been recommended, or a user is seeking, and you suddenly see that pop up in the user needs, then who decides whether this will get converted into a feature or not, or if a feature is ready for deployment or not? Or sometimes it may be that, okay, you worked on a feature, but it is too buggy at any point of time, or due to some complex logic being built in or something like that, and you are not happy, and you want to scrap that for that moment and take a decision on it later, then who is the one who's taking all that for? Okay, that's something that is very important for you to know, because as a tester, you will constantly need to be in touch with that person and understand why that person feels that why that person has taken that particular decision. It is very important for you to know as a tester. Okay. Then we look at where, which signifies the location, and here are a couple of examples. So where will the product be deployed? Will it be on-premise or will it be in the cloud? Or what is the idea behind it? Similarly, where can the software be accessed? I mean, will it just be a mobile app? Will it just be the web? Now, you know the story about, I think it was Myntra, Flipkart, or I think both of them. They were initially, they had a web platform and then they launched their mobile platform. And they suddenly took a decision to go mobile only, scrapping their web platform completely. And that proved to be disastrous for them because the sales reduced considerably. Because even though what they had estimated was that everybody has a mobile phone and so they will download their app and they'll purchase from their app and things like that. But obviously it did not happen like that because the app had bugs. Not everybody knew about their app. So the market considerably reduced. And if you go to, look at a little deeper in India, if you look at tier 2 cities or something like that, a lot of population, though they use mobile phones, they do not know about a lot of these apps because people do not pay much attention to the advertisements or things like that. And that is where, the entire strategy of the product actually failed at that point of time, and they had to come back to both mobile and web version to bring up their sales. So it is very important to be asking that sort of question as well. When will the software be available to the users? If it is already available, then when do you think there will be a next release that will be available? What is the update frequency? Okay, do you go for a new build every 2 weeks, every 2 months, or maybe 2 times in a year or something like that? So all of this will be a good point of consideration. And then finally, we look at how. So how is the product going to be used? What are the various usage patterns? Is somebody a heavy user of the product? Somebody like, at one point of time, I had nothing else to do. So I used to just browse through the app, look at the products, add them to the cart, and not buy them. Because to buy them, you need money, and that is something I was not willing to spend at that point of time. So just for fun, I would add and then remove from the cart, and in just doing that, I got some bugs and had a lot of fun. But then that is also heavy usage because although you are not completing the workflow, but at least you're going to the shopping cart at least. So you are constantly using the app. But then there are a lot of people who do a lot of purchases online and they're constantly busy on these apps. Then there are some people who rarely use online shopping as a medium. So that is also something to be considered. So these are the things that we look at. Now, why do you think all of this is needed? Is because of the heuristic test strategy model. Okay, I do not know if you can see the whole thing on your screen, but the heuristic test strategy model is a model which was developed by James Buck, and I've been using it for over a decade now, almost 12, 13 years now. And this is a very, very handy model for me to come up with my test strategy. And this is a combination of basically, it is a combination of the project environment. It talks about, considers quality criteria. It talks about product elements and employs a lot of test techniques to give you the story for your product testing, which means that you are able to design your tests based on this particular strategy. And this is quite handy. So if you look here, it tells you what these are. So the product environment is a set of context factors. So it is very important for you to define the context of what you are doing, and that includes things like how many people will be working, what are the technologies that are involved, what are the constraints, and anything that can enable or disable your testing. Okay, then you have the product elements, which is basically looking at the various relationship between the product and the entities that it is linked to. So for example, what are the databases involved? What is the middleware that you're using? What will be you be using as a front end? What are the other external factors which may impact the product and things like that? Okay, so and then of course you have the quality criteria. Of course, you must have all heard about aspects like we talk about maintainability, we talk about uh, you know availability and installability, and so many of them are there. So these are the quality criteria, and then you have certain general guidelines for the test techniques that are mentioned, so which are generally the heuristics that are already available. Now, heuristics is something that uh, is already known, which is already established, and you use that as a guideline to develop your test design. Okay, and then finally, the quality or quality story is the result of all the testing that you've done using the design that you created out of this. Okay, so now I'm going to stop sharing, and I would want one of you to go and show what are the questions that you've listed. So I will just sharing.
Just one question, right? If I can ask.
Yes, please, Tani.
So 5W1H, right? So let's say it's an agile project, right? Sprints are coming after every 2 weeks. So
Correct.
just wanted to ask, right? When at what particular stage you use this particular test strategy? I can correlate when let's say a product is built new, so I can correlate this is going to help a lot.
Yes.
When a particular sprint is there, certain new features are added. So you again create every time you basically create this 5W1H model for every
No.
sprint.
The answer to this is I can give you a very straightforward answer. I can already see Adi shaking his head. Well, a very straightforward, a very simple answer to this, Tani, is you employ this technique at a stage where you are defining your product backlog. Okay, so you have to start early. Now, remember that the essence of Agile lies in the fact as to how early testers are getting involved in the whole exercise. Okay, it is about the early involvement of the testers. It is about you know you have to start thinking about your testing as soon as you are defining your requirements. You cannot wait till the sprint begins. So there's a big journey that the product itself takes between the product backlog and the sprint backlog, right? In fact, when the user defines their need and when there is a conversation going on as to how you convert those user need or user stories, I mean, into stories. So basically, from the user will tell, okay, I need an application which helps me do retail shopping. Okay, so a simple thing. Now you go and ask, okay, so what do you mean by helping you with retail shopping? So then he starts defining his requirements, saying, okay, I need an application which I can install on my phone, on all my or my iPad or any other mobile device, and I can also access it through the web, which allows me access to multiple product categories, which has listings from different brands uh, for that particular product. And what it will allow me is to, look at the product features, and it will describe everything for me. And in some cases, provide a demo as well, and then it allows me to add it to the shopping cart, apply whatever discount is possible, and then buy it, and then it is delivered to me within a stipulated period of time, which is again defined there itself. So when the customer tells you all that this is what he wishes to have, then you dig in. Okay, and that is the point that testers also need to get involved and start asking, okay, why do you need this? Okay, what is the purpose? What is the logic? What is so I give you an example of an app that is already existing. Okay, Amazon. But imagine you are creating Amazon from scratch. You are creating your own platform for retail shopping. What all things will you desire? Do you think that the Amazon app gives you everything at this point of time? I will tell you that I'm still looking for more requirements in my retail shopping app. Okay, Amazon. So here in Europe, okay, Amazon has like for example, there's Amazon Germany, there is Amazon France. In my neighborhood, I'm talking about in the neighborhood of Netherlands. Okay, there's Amazon Germany, Amazon France. There's Italy, which is a little far. There's Amazon UK. Now they have started Amazon Netherlands. Okay, now because there was only one player in the Netherlands market for retail shopping, a company called Bol.com. They were the retail players. They were like the Flipkart of Netherlands. They had complete market dominance, and of course, other stores also give you directly online and get it from the stores. But that benefit of everything under one roof, you want that. You go to that app and you are able to search any product you want. Whether I am looking for a laptop or I am looking for a toothbrush for my son, everything should be available right there. So that is the idea of a common single marketplace that I can think of, right? And that is where the idea of something like Amazon is born. So that is where testers go in and at that point they ask questions. Okay, what else do you need as a feature? What else? So I think that is the good point of doing your 5W1H exercise. Now, if you're talking about your agile projects, you can still do them. Okay. In the So I do not know if you groom your backlog or you refine your requirements. So if is there a refinement session that happens where you look
It
at your
happens, but it happens, but unfortunately, QA is not part of it.
that
It's
is
the
that
business
is
and the product.
that is the sad part of it, and I can see Sachin smiling. Sachin, by the way, is a safe certified guy, a big agile guy. So I'm pretty scared of talking about agile concepts when he's around. He can pull me up easily. So yeah. Uh, so what is your suggestion, Sachin, in such a situation? How do you think testing can get involved, and when do you think 5W1H can be applied? When can you ask these questions?
Uh, yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So I think the question which Sunny has asked, that is what I actually wanted to clarify with you. But the question goes like, I mean, I'm sure that one H I cannot ask before sprint, because how they gonna develop it, they only decide in sprint planning. And about the
Yes.
5W, uh, I mean, I can know why and what they are doing, but rest of the questions it's very difficult to know before the sprint planning, honestly, because even product owners are not ready with all of their answers. So I think what we can do is, because sprint planning itself an event or a ceremony wherein you can decide all your strategies and move ahead. So it's quite good. I mean, if you have your out of this 6 question, if you answer for any of the questions, like 2 3 questions, why, what, and when, probably because you're sitting in a sprint planning, but rest of the questions you can always answer. My point is, before you start doing your testing, that means even writing your test case, you should have this answer of these questions, and that should say that you are driving your testing through this strategy. So the testing should be strategy driven, and any point before starting it, you can get the answer of this question. There should not be like in the first sprint, out of, I mean, in safe you have 5 sprints, right, including the
Yeah.
IP sprint. So it's not
Yeah.
important to get answer in your PI planning, but it's very important to get your answer within your sprint before you start your testing activities. That's what I believe. And I have one more question, Brijesh. I mean, for this 5W1H thing is, what I was in my opinion, I mean, test strategy is a one purpose kind of statement, right? I mean, I have seen this word using in sports. For example, in hockey, you see man to man marking. That's a strategy. In cricket, you see 5 fielders on side. That's a strategy, right? And then I have when I started my testing, I actually learned from ISTQB, and then I'm unlearning and relearning those things. In ISTQB, they have mentioned that there are fixed 8 test strategies: analytical, risk-based, specification, dynamic test strategy. So my question was the point which you are mentioning, 5W1H. Is it a way of crafting your test strategy, or is it a strategy itself?
Okay, that's a very good question. Okay, now I will take a step back before I come to this question. I will like to extrapolate some information about from what you said about agile and safe, and then try to address Sunny's question in a little better way, and then come to your question. Okay, so when we talk about 5W1H, understand the purpose. The purpose is that okay, we are trying to think about how can I test this product. Okay, what all test cases can I possibly have? Okay, what are the things that I can test in this product? So given the requirements, given the product, or if I have to do exploratory testing and the product is already available in front of me, what are the things that I'm going to test? And if you list down all these questions, you can actually get your test ideas. Okay, now coming to the definition of strategy is basically a set of ideas which drive your test design. So when you are designing your test cases using various test techniques, if you explore, I'll just share my screen again. Let me see if I can get some. Okay, I think I have the heuristic test strategy model open. Yeah, so let me just really quickly share my screen again and show you what. So are you able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you scroll through the HTSM PDF, you will see a lot of general test techniques which are listed. So it says test what the product can do, identify things that the product can do, determine how you would know if a function was capable of working. Okay, then there is something called as domain testing, where you look for any data that is processed by the product. So for example, if you given your credit card details, then how does the processing take place? How do you know that your purchase is getting confirmed using the data that you have given? Every time it is a hassle to log in using user ID and password. So does the app have the capability of understanding that, okay, if it is installed on a particular device, then it may be a single user who is operating this device, and that's why the app does not ask you for logging in again and again and things like that. Then you have got things like claims testing, which for example, if the product says that, okay, it can handle 100 users, so you verify that claim. You don't assume that, okay, just because it says that it can handle 100 users, it can. So your questions, your set of questions will actually aid these points and help you find answers. So the questions are basically an attempt to find answers to define your test cases. Now, when you do it, it is entirely up to the stage where you are in your product lifecycle. So if you are getting involved very early, I see an opportunity right at the, at a stage where the product backlog is getting defined. Then, grooming sessions, refinement sessions are a good opportunity. It is very tragic to see cases where, QA is or testing is not involved in refinement at all. Okay, so I would advise all of you to go and look at this test strategy model. Now, it is, I think, a 3 or 4 page PDF. It's not a huge thingy. Go through it. You will understand. It is self-explanatory. James has written it so well. Okay, it is very easily understood, and it is not like you use it verbatim. You can extrapolate ideas from there and come up with your own strategy. Okay, Strategy is basically how you are going to design your test cases, which has to match your context. Okay, my context will be completely different from the way you look at the product. Okay, if I am the CEO of a financial company, then my context is totally different. And if you are the CEO of a retail company, your context is totally different. So I can use this HTSM in a way that I want to for my advantage, right? So this can be your baseline, and you can come up with your own strategy. The strategy for testing a financial product versus a strategy for testing, um, um, you know, a retail product is completely different, right? Online banking versus online shopping, there is a huge difference, right? So while we can use 5W1H and HTSM as the baseline to develop to develop our test strategy and our test cases, uh, the context is completely different, and that is where you have to use your ideas. And on that note, Sunny, I was quite impressed by what you showed me as work in progress. Can you share your questions? Can you share your screen and share, and then we'll see how that is actually answering some of the questions that we're talking about, or giving us some more ideas. You had a very exhaustive list. So can you share your screen, Sunny?
Sure. Let me try that. I think. Would I need to be a host, or you need to give me some access for that?
Let me see.
Never use
I
You have to
promoted
make
you
Google.
him
as a presenter.
presenter.
Yes, I have promoted you as a presenter now. You should be able to do it now. See, this is also learning, right? Exploring. GoToMeeting. We've not used. not everybody has used, but we are learning as we go. So testing is learning the product. Okay, learning about the product. That is what testing is.
Okay, I think I need to restart the GoToMeeting because it asked me that I'm using Mac, so some system preference I had to update.
Okay.
Should I send you a file or should I rejoin?
Okay. Can you how will you send me? You have my email address.
I can send it on the group. I can send it on the group itself. If you have Xmind, I was using that Xmind software.
Wait, I will just type my email address in the chat and you will email it to me. That's better.
Do you have Xmind software?
Yes, I have Xmind.
Okay.
Send me the Xmind.
Give it a chance.
Well, by the way, guys, if you're wondering what Xmind is the app that is used for drawing some beautiful mind maps. We can have a session on mind maps by Mukesh here. He's an expert. He's been able to teach us.
Not an expert, I am also learning. Not an
so
expert.
your doctor can do it so well, so we know that. And as Addy says, if you can explain something to a 6-year-old, then you've done the job well. So if your 8-year-old can draw such beautiful mind maps, then you've done a job really well. So you can teach us as well.
We can do one session sometime. Xmind, I tried. Xmind is very good, and there are a lot of tools like that we can explore. Let's move what
May
Sunny
I
has.
suggest which one you use?
No, I tried Xmind only, but there are few free tools like that. Big some UK-based company. Actually, they approached me from Twitter. They gave me a trial period. I'll share the details of that one.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that somebody tried to reach you based on your. I think you had put out a. Sunny, have you shared it?
Yeah, I already sent it.
Okay, it's there it is.
I used Xmind. I know I was confused. There are so many versions. Net, Zen, 2020, and then MindMap is also one of the online version.
To be honest, I prefer a paper and pen because tools sometimes,
Yes.
specifically when working with people now, people they have the sometimes like mind mister also I use. People get confused, what to do, how to do, and all that. So better let's put it on a whiteboard or paper and pen. That's it.
Can I add something about the strategy document?
Yes.
We need to be mindful of something, um, and this is something we should all try to do. Defining the strategy should be done at the very beginning. Back in the days
Right.
when I was starting out, I usually have a few days or hours for each organization to look at their test strategy. And the definition I've come about to give a test strategy document, I call it the Bible of testing in an organization. It's basically the definition of how you do stuff, how you test in that organization, how you test, who test, what you test, what tool you use to test, how you design your test, all sorts of definitions. So we need to be mindful of that. And this need to have been done before you even define your sprint
Yes.
if you are using Agile, because everything you do in your sprint should have been captured in the strategy.
Yes.
Um, I've seen a few strategies, but a lot of people don't realize that the test plan we use is a subset of the strategy. The strategy is like the top hierarchy document that guides, for example, regardless of what we develop, for example, in this organization, if we're doing a mobile app, web app, desktop, bespoke app, whatever app, the strategy should have definitions already about how we go about testing it. Who does
Exactly.
what?
Yes.
When do we do this? How do we do this? And I think that's what the W's and the HM explored. So we must all remember that. And that's really important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You've nailed it, Adi, with that point. I mean, see, the whole point is you need to get involved early. And when I say that, I understand that in your organizations, like the example that Tani gave, that, QA is not a part of refinement, which is weird. Okay, why not? I mean, that is the question that you should be asking. I mean, are you thinking that testers are from some other planet, or what is the idea? Why don't you involve them? I mean, I find it really, really weird that testers are kept out of the loop, and then suddenly something is thrown at them, saying, "Okay, these are the requirements," and you just build test cases and execute. And I can see a smile on Shefali's face as well as I talk, because she experiences that almost every day. So, in fact, I'm sure that all of you are laughing at some point that this is actually true. So things come your way as if it has been defined by somebody from the development team, and then you're going to follow that. Which means if you write a test case, it will anyways pass because it's given to you by development. Okay, so where is the point of finding a defect? And if you do anything, if you say that it is a defect, they say no, this is as defined, which is the weirdest thing. So Adi makes a very good point. You have to ask questions early. Okay, this is about asking questions, and I emphasize this during my presentation at TribalConf, that the idea is to ask these questions, and you have to ask them early and constantly ask them. Shefali, you want to say something? Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to say, I mean, we are okay to ask questions, but at least we should be given a chance. That is what the issue is. So if you talk about the early stages, like where the specialist, where they are defined that, okay, these are the specialist people and these are the product owners, and they only interact with the customers whenever the requirements are getting listed down. So we are not at all involved because of my designation. You are not allowed to get into that meeting. So you are not allowed at all in that meeting. Now, once that has been done with along with the discussion, and actually specialist is a developer. Okay. a developer is promoted to a specialist position because of the so and so years he has spent in the organization. So now he is a specialist and he only knows about the product in and out. So that is why he is allowed to question the product owner and he is allowed to question the customer. Now, if I ask questions, they are like, you do not have the knowledge of product right now. You need to learn a lot first, and then you get into this questioning thing. So this is how I
Okay.
get response if I try and get in. So
Okay.
yeah, that's
Here
an issue.
I think
uh,
just to add what Shefali is saying, right? One of the phrase that I got to listen is more is this is what business wants,
Yeah.
right? So ultimately, if you question, I don't know how many of you would agree with me, but a lot of times when we put up the questions, right, the answer is this is what the business need is or the business team wants. So I mean that's kind of an dead end, right? What
Okay.
no,
else?
it's not a dead end. It's not a
Yes.
dead end.
So
In fact, it is a
That,
beginning.
no.
And I see idea as
So
an answer.
yeah.
yeah.
So I
So
just want to add to what Shefali said. It's a matter of opportunity. If you are now never given that opportunity to face the client on day one, or to be part of the discussions on the day one itself. And if you remember in the last meeting when we had, I raised the same thing, that there were 2 or 3 sprints where I was not involved in the initial requirement discussions, and then when I raised my voice, then they started doing that. But still, I still it was always the preference was given to a lead developer. So how can we mitigate this challenge? And it's pretty challenging everywhere. It's not just in one organization. It's happening to, not forget about organization. It's happening in each project in the each organization.
okay. Um, let's take this in a very logical way. By the way, guys, you can type your questions in the chat pod so anyone can start looking at the questions and we can see, so we can cover as much ground on the session. So coming back to the question of opportunity, um, this will be my approach to it, Shefali. Um, when I watch people do something the wrong way, I usually plan. I have a plan written down somewhere on how it should be done rightly. It's just a matter of time before the wrong way fails. Okay? Now, if you are not given the opportunity, you bid your time. The thing about opportunity is sometimes you run after it, it eludes you. If you are not prepared for it, sometimes it falls on your lap. You don't even know that it's falling on your lap. So when they are doing it the wrong way, make a plan. Okay? And this is the whole point about the fight about concept of testing being lost. Why I would not allow my test resources to advise me on testing is beyond me. Why did I employ them in the first place? You guys are the test professionals. If I'm not listening to you, I'm just saying, oh, you're just a bum on the seat. Keep quiet. I don't want to hear you. Why did I put you there in the first place? If I can do all these things by myself, why do I need to employ you? It comes from me losing the sight of the kind of resources I have, the kind of skill set I have, because I am focused on my narrow knowledge of things. And that always fails. Trust me, it does. Now, talking about the opportunity, as I was saying earlier, you take a mindful plan on your desk. Like when I don't know about you, I use sticky notes. I put sticky notes on my laptop. If I have given people advice, I'm fed up with telling people I am the test professional here. You brought me here for a reason. If you're not going to listen to me, then I don't see the point. I'm really tired of saying it. So what I do, I take a note on a piece of paper, on a sticky note, I stick it on my laptop. I continue doing everything you're doing. I don't want the project to fail because whether I like it or not, I'm part of that team. I don't do failure. It's not an option for me. So I'll continue doing the way I think it should go. Now, when the opportunity falls on my lap, which it does, and I'll tell you how it does, it will get to a point that all of this planless, directionless, strategyless processes fails. That is when you come in. Trust me. You see that few seconds will buy you enough time as long as you're in that organization for people to sit down and listen to you. Because that is the point you educate them on how it should be done. That is the point you state to, and you don't say it as a matter of I told you so. No, 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 no. You go there in such a way that the next time they put you on the list of people to say something. Guys, we're struggling because we didn't actually follow the plan. Don't forget that there was no plan. Don't say there wasn't any, be diplomatic. We're struggling because we didn't follow the plan. But because we are here now, I think we should do it this way. And then you see those logical steps you've written down? Just put it to them. Don't ask them to adopt it. Don't say it as a matter of fact that let's do it this way. No, no, no. It's not your decision to make. But you are now in a position because you see everyone else is struggling. You are now in a position to educate them a little. Now, you don't want to say it in a pushy way that they will discount you anyway. Just say, I think we're struggling because we've missed out on some of our plan. How about we look at this again? How about we look at that again? Just say it casually, generally, and leave it. Okay? Trust me. Next time, before it gets to that point, you will be answering questions. So I've done that. It has worked for me a lot because I turn up in so many organizations. They don't have any test documentation. Everybody from the cleaner to the porter in the organization does testing. Okay. Now tell me how you do your testing, and then the story starts. Okay, fine. Let's have a plan. Let's have some form of strategy. Oh, you don't need a strategy. Oh, you're just making it all difficult. It shouldn't be that way. We've been testing here for years and we've never had issues. Okay, I know. That's why you brought me here. If you've never had issues, I won't be here. And then I'll go, how about we do it this way? And then they struggle to follow you, and eventually they do. The first thing is this denial. Oh, it's not new. We've been doing that before, If someone just forgot it, we just lose sight of it. Yeah. The moment is that denying the fact that what you told them worked. Trust me, you have hit a very important point in their head. Because the next time they would not wait for that to happen before they ask you. Because now you've proved to them that you know something that could help the team refocus. But I don't want us to firefight all the time. How about we have a plan so the fire doesn't even start? So the next conversation you have after the opportunity has fallen on your lap and you've taken it is a matter of, I came up with a document. This document could save us the stress we went through the last time. You are not asking them to adopt it. You are not calling it a strategy. You are not making any decision for anyone. But based on lessons learned from last time, I think I want you to look at this document. Don't even put your name there as the author. Don't even put your role there as a tester. No, no, no. That's not the time. Just write it and pass it to whoever the decision maker is and say, look at this. This will save us from the stress we had last time. What you're doing, you are putting a strategy in place, piece by piece, one step at a time. By the time you do that few times, 3 times, the next project comes in, they still don't trust you enough to go and sit down with the client. That's fine. But they will trust you enough now to come up with a plan, to design how many sprints we would have, to design what happens in a sprint as testers, what you do, the length you go, the scope and objectives. These are the things you're supposed to be doing anyway as testers. Those are the things you're supposed to do. But they didn't let you do it. They took the opportunity away from you. Violence or force or intimidation or harassment or whatever would not give you back the opportunity. Silence, golden silence. If they don't give you the opportunity, it's coming to you. You need to be alert. When it falls on your lap, you've got to take it. It might only last a few minutes, but you've got to take it. And during that few minutes, that is the best opportunity you have to let everyone know, look, guys, I didn't come here because my name is Shefali. I came here, you brought me here because I'm a software tester, and this is how we do it. In few minutes, that's how you do it. You just educate them and stop. Don't decide for them to adopt and watch the miracle happen. So that would answer all of the questions everyone have about they don't let me contribute. They don't let us even in on it. They just tell us what to do. I know, I've been there before. I won't do that to my team now because I've learned. Okay, I know the strength of collective reasoning. If I have a newbie on my team today, he or she will speak in a team meeting because collective reasoning is stronger than my reasoning. But some managers haven't got that far. So we can't really blame them. But the opportunity one day, one time, will fall on your lap. You need to be alert to it, to take that opportunity when you have it, when you are not pushing for it, when it just fall on your lap and go, right, this is my moment and I'm going to make the most of it. Guys, X, Y, Z. That is it. And I think you guys should try that. It might work.
Well, I could not have said it
It
any better
might
than
work. Yeah,
yeah.
it might work, but it will take a lot of time to actually reach that point. And if you talk about my personal experience, I've been there in that project for a year, and it took me months to change the perspective that I am present and I am important as a tester. But in the end, what happened was that I hurted a lot of people ego, that how she is speaking, why she is speaking. So that happened, and I don't know, the environment was very bad because of I was speaking in every meeting and everything. So that's the reason I had to change, because that was a toxic environment to work, where people are not actually ready to accept changes. They are not ready to accept that these are the things, that it should work this way. They are not ready to accept. They just want to follow what is going on for years. They do not want things to change at all. So that's difficult to change, but yes, I know it will take time. It's, as you said, that we have to prepare piece by piece, and then it might work someday. So okay.
Okay. Here's the thing, Shefali. Okay. So change is the most uncomfortable thing for human beings. Okay, it is the most uncomfortable thing for us. And when I say human beings, it is even including me. Okay, if things were to change, I would be very uncomfortable. So the way we drive that change makes a lot of difference. You cannot expect an overnight change in the mindset of the people. You are right that when you say something, when people see that it is not going as per their wish, they feel hurt, they feel disappointed. And let me tell you one thing very clearly: testing is not a job of pleasing or massaging people's egos. We are not in that profession at all. So we have to understand this very clearly, and we have to get this thing out of our heads that people are going to be happy with our job. People will not be happy. It's okay. It's absolutely okay. And you will get it over a period of time. You will get it that there are a lot of people who will not see the value at that point of time, but will realize later that that person added some value to the product. Because when it goes to the ultimate end user, and when there is appreciation saying that okay, this product works exactly according to how I wanted it, then they will realize, oh, it was because Shefali had suggested this idea This has come true. This will happen. This happens to us, right? We have a late realization often in our lives. Okay, so this I know that we are supposed to be talking testing, but there is a lot of philosophy, there is a lot of psychology that goes on behind the whole process as to how you evolve as a tester. Okay, and I could not say it any better than how Adi explained it. That opportunity will come to you when there is a failure. Okay, you will have your chance to speak, and when you speak, you don't speak like, okay, I said this a year back, you should have done it then. No, let's not try to push it. Okay, that point of time, you just say, okay, guys, can we just rethink? Can we just try this? Okay, do you mind to give this a try? Be diplomatic, be very subtle. Okay, don't claim any authority. Okay, it's okay to be ruled over even then. Okay, if they don't want to take it, if as stakeholders they still don't want to take it, it's okay. Okay, you've had your moment, you've said this thing, stakeholders decide not to take your ideas, fair enough. Now when it comes to asking questions, okay, at every point I have experienced this in my journey as a tester, that I have not been liked by developers for asking questions. I had, and that is the reason why in my email signature I put this line: in God we trust, everything else I test. I put this line so that every email that goes out, this line gets into the head of people, that I'm here to test. Okay, I trust in God, I trust in whatever God says, I trust in what you are telling me, but still I will test it no matter what. I will be the one who will ask questions. So you be ready. If you have hired me, then that means that there is a problem that needs to be solved, and you will need to trust my judgment on that one. Okay, I know it is a very difficult thing for us testers to bypass hierarchies and things like that. Don't do that. Okay, go to your line of contact, your point of contact. If your point of contact is not the customer, fine. If your point of contact is just the developer, go and have a chat. Say, I have a few questions. Can you help me with that? Okay, go with the approach that you're trying to learn from that person. And when you go with that approach of learning from a person, people will think, oh, this person is coming to learn from me. So they'll feel good about themselves and they will start answering your questions. They will seriously start answering your questions. Okay, and then you build a rapport and then slowly take it to the next level. Go and say, okay, I have a few questions. Can you help me? Go with your list of questions and put them across to the developer. They're just thinking, how is this done, or how have you implemented this? This seems nice. Okay, put in a word of appreciation. It's okay. Okay, it seems nice, but how do you test it? How do you suggest that I should test it? Okay, be open to learning. I know the whole hierarchy thing and all that, and especially in a country like India where the hierarchy is always, it's a ladder-based system. It is not a flat hierarchy. It is very difficult, and people's egos are hurt very easily. If I were to ask questions, people will ask. I will tell you. I will give an example of a meeting that I was in. There was a project which in 2011, and I will not name the product, but the product name ended with 2011, and the development or the planning was so bad that we ended up releasing that product in the middle or towards the end of 2012. Okay, so obviously when people started doing RCA and the question came up, what is wrong? So I was in this big meeting with around 20-30 people, and I was just at that point of time I had just become a test manager. I had nothing to do with that project. Okay, nothing to do. But since I was in that meeting, because it had almost everybody from project management, test management, test leads, and everybody was there in that meeting, I said I would like to say something. And this is my analysis of the entire failure is what I said. I took my moment, okay? I took my opportunity and I said this line that I would like to say something. And so my VP who was sitting there, he asked me, what is wrong? What do you want to say? So I said the fundamental problem is that we have not focused on unit testing. And that is why this disaster has happened. And the development managers of that project, they gave me a stare and said, how dare you say like that? And I said, why do you think unit testing was not done? I said, because people do not know what unit testing is. That is the truth. Then, there was an argument that happened, and the development manager asked me, what do you mean by that? And I said, okay, let's do it right here, because you've asked me. I would ask you to define unit testing. And he defined unit testing in a way where, he said, okay, we write code and we see if we write code for a button and we see if the button is working or not. I said, if you are going to check if the button is working or not, what will a tester do? Can you define a unit for me? Was my next question. And he had no answer to that. And he was the director of the development team. Okay. Then I said, I will call my youngest tester and he will give you the definition of unit testing. A person who has just joined the organization 5 days ago. And I called that boy. He came in and he said, unit is the smallest piece of executable code. And when you test that, that is unit testing. And when this happened, people had a realization that there was indeed something that was missing. People did not know what unit testing was. I did not please a lot of people that day. A lot of people got angry. The development team we had a confrontation later when people accused me of something. But I did not worry about that. I had to say the truth. I took my opportunity. And after that, what happened was that there was a directive that every project needs to focus on unit testing. There was a strategy, there was a process put in place that without unit testing, without the unit testing results being given to the to the system testing people, they will not proceed further. It became a guideline in the organization. Unit testing became a must. So if you have to make sure that you're heard, your changes, your suggestions come through, sometimes you have to take a tough call. You are not there to massage people's egos. People will feel bad. It's okay, because change is uncomfortable. But you have got to take that opportunity. Ari said, right, that you have to look for that minute, few seconds, and then you speak the way it is. You speak the truth. Okay. Sometimes you have to be very diplomatic. You have to be very nice and say, okay, I have a few questions. Can you help me learn? That is the most easy approach that you can take towards anything, and then you push your questions across, and then the developer will also start thinking, these are some good questions. Let us talk to the PO about it. Why don't we have a joint call? Then you will have access to the PO. Okay, so sometimes the developer will not be able to answer, and they'll say, okay, let's talk. So you have to look for opportunities like this, build on them. Okay, now in the interest of time, I think we've overshot our 1 hour, but I'll really quickly show what Sunny has prepared, and maybe you can take a clue out of it. And
Rajesh, I have one question if you don't mind. Sorry interrupting you. If we are not we have sufficient time to ask. Yeah, I was holding this question since our last meetup, so I wanted to ask it.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, it's about test strategy. Do we need to change the test strategy with every build, or depending upon the feature? Like for example, this release, I'm getting a very biggest release of my application, and I know this is going to impact many of the huge customers here, or I'm sorry, end users. So we should change the strategy, or we should not. We can change the strategy, or we cannot. What's the possibility with every release? I'm saying. For example, I'm forecasting a very biggest release of my application. In this particular release, a very big feature is being added in the application. So we should change the test strategy according to that, or we should stick to what we have started prepared in the beginning.
Okay. There is a short answer to this. There is a long answer to this. I will try the short answer first. You do not change the test strategy based on your releases. Okay, what you need to do is basically you need to build your test strategy very early when the release planning is happening. Okay, when you are planning your releases, saying, okay, in August we will have a big release. Then 2 months down the line we'll have a smaller release. Then again 3 months down the line we'll have another big release. Then we'll have a series of small releases, and then another big release. When that planning is done, so you take into account that, okay, it is going to be this nature. And when you're talking about big release, there may be, the reason may be that you are having some very complicated features or very different features being added. So your test strategy does not depend on what the release size is. Your test strategy depends on the context. It depends on the objective. It depends on the people. It depends on how things are being developed and are going to be deployed. So it depends on these things. If you look at the heuristic test strategy model, you will get an idea as to how and what kind of questions that you need to ask and need to get addressed. Does that help you, Richa?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so this is what Sunny has shared. So I'm sorry for this message from my group IT. I'm using a company laptop and I can't minimize this message. It says it will go down for a reboot in about 45 minutes or so. So basically, he's tried to look at gap and
sorry to say, sorry to read. If you snooze it, it will go off. There's a snooze button there.
No, it is not working. I have snoozed it 10 times and then it has stopped. So now the only option is for me to press the restart, which I will do after the call. Okay, so see, he has listed out these questions. So he's listed out what's Amazon.in. That is a very good question to ask. Okay, begin from there. What are the characteristics? What are the problems you're trying to solve? And once you do this, okay, once you list out these questions and you try to map it to the various aspects in the strategy model, if you look at this one, if you're still able to see my screen, then you will see that a lot of questions will relate to certain things that are listed here. Okay, and will give you idea around these, and that's where you can start designing your test case. Okay, and it will also help you build the project environment. So asking those questions, okay, asking these sort of questions, collecting the entire list of questions. I can't type one more time. Weird. Yeah, asking these questions will give you a direction in which you can build your test strategy on. Okay, a test strategy is a way of designing your test cases, keeping in consideration the environment, keeping in consideration the quality criteria that you are looking to test. So all that consideration will come, and these questions will help you address those things. Now, remember one thing. Again, I'm repeating myself that this is your guide for the test strategy. This is not the test strategy. The test strategy needs to be built in collaboration with fellow testers, with developers, with business, with almost everybody who's involved in the project. Now, an important thing to note here is that you should be aware of what the risks are, and you should do a regular risk analysis exercise. Okay, and that is very important for you to do. And when you do the risk analysis, you must remember that as a part of your test coverage, your risk coverage is a very important factor. And your risk analysis will come from the answers that you get for these questions and many more in discussions with your peers on the project. That is the developers, testers, business, and everybody else. So you need to talk to them constantly. Collaboration is the key. Okay. Now, if you face a roadblock that due to your designation, you're not able to speak to certain people, speak to those who you have access to. Start with that. Don't hold yourself saying, okay, I have a question for the PO. How can I reach the PO when I'm not authorized to? Don't worry about that authority. Okay, talk to the developer. Decide on a strategy and a plan with the developer that, okay, you will go ahead and talk to the PO together. You both will do it, right? So that is how I would say we should go for it. Now we are already 15-16 minutes past the hour. Can we have all of you on camera, and can somebody take a screenshot for me, Addy or somebody? because I have this particular thing. It will appear on my screenshot. If everybody is on the camera and somebody can take a screenshot, then it'll be really nice.
Quickly, I would say I would find a sample of test strategy document that I can share on the WhatsApp group with you guys, and I'll drop it there so you have an idea what one looks like. I've been lucky to have most of my documents reviewed, and what's that thing that consultancies do, like NS Young? They come in and review projects. I've had mine reviewed a few times, so I have very good template I can work from because most of them have been seen by outsiders. And but
Having said that, Addy, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I
yeah,
will advise people not to follow a template as such,
no,
because
no, no,
template is
no.
something.
It's not a template. It's a sample been written. It's not template that has sections on that you can fill in. No,
Yeah,
it's an actual document that has been written, so you can read it and see how it looks like. It's not a template for you to fill. I don't like templates either.
yeah, very good,
No,
very good.
it's not.
I think that will act as a guideline. Thank you, Addy, for that. I will just say that, for your test strategy, you can use something as simple as a mind map to do your test strategy. That is one of the simplest tools to do. Okay, can we have all the cameras on, and can Addy or Sachin take a screenshot for us?
I
Nagesh, you
have
were saying?
Vijay,
I have
yeah,
Yes.
I
taken a
just
screenshot. Someone else should take one too, but I've taken a screenshot.
Jainam, your camera is off. Shoaib, your camera is off.
Oh, yeah, you need to
Is
put your
your camera
cameras
went?
on, guys.
I was about to say that, Eddie, that please share that, because you can learn coding and everything, it's easy, right? But when it comes to stress strategy, you need some kind of help. Sorry, guys, my
No, no, sorry. This nice that we have a guest in our call. It's actually nice to
we have
have a guest.
yeah. Brijesh, can you share that PDF that you were showing on the screen?
Yes, the X mind, the mind map.
No, no, the other one, the strategies, the different risk base and
The
then
the, the HTSM one, yeah, it's
yeah,
available on G
HP.
site, but I will share on the
Yeah,
WhatsApp group. Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. All right. On that note, let's close the call today. I think it was a good discussion. Thank you everybody for participating. Addy, as usual, we'll have to tickle your brain and get some very wonderful ideas coming out. So thank you. Sunny, very good mind map. Thank you for sharing that. Shefali, some very good questions, some very practical questions. Richa, one very good question from your side as well. So, Sachin, everybody else, thank you so much for joining. This we will upload the recording on our YouTube channel, and so that everybody in the group who was not able to join can benefit. And next time we'll see a bigger audience. There is a surprise coming up for you guys. Tomorrow we will have the second episode of Tester Speak. So we are not revealing the speaker yet. I want it to be a surprise till it's released, or till at least the teaser comes out. So it will be sometime tomorrow in the evening hours. Then you will get it. And trust me, it's going to be a very fun chat. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm sure all of you are also looking forward to that. So stay tuned on that one, and we will all speak in the next test chat call soon. Okay, I am not defining as to what date it will be, because now that all these interviews are also coming in, and I think this idea has already clicked. A lot of people have approached me saying that they would want to be interviewed, and they are coming up with ideas. There are a lot of seniors, people who have congratulated me personally for this initiative, which is, I think, uh, congratulations for all of us. It is a big thing for all of us to be doing this, and I see this as an opportunity for doing some interviews with experts like Michael and James, and Pradeep, and everybody else. So we are just planning on a strategy as to how to get them on board this idea. I think we will all benefit from their knowledge, their experience. I will be interviewing my mentors as well, so that will be also a good idea for you guys. You guys, if you have any personal suggestions to make as to whom you would like to be or to see as interviewed, please come back with that. Of course, I'm going to interview you guys. That is there. That is obviously there. So you guys also need to keep practicing. How do you appear in front of the camera and stuff? No, just kidding. Just be your natural self, and we're looking to have fun. Okay, so
About
on
the
that,
disease,
yeah,
yeah, we didn't got the defect of the first episode you were asking.
yeah, okay, good that nobody caught the defect. I was the one who caught the defect, and I was the one who was responsible for that. In the first episode, the host did not introduce himself. Okay, that was the defect. It is a major defect. Okay, and I caught it, and I will fix it in the next episode. So obviously, I was too excited to speak to Addy. That is the atmosphere that he creates. So I forgot to introduce myself because I just went with the flow, and you know what
I
happens
thought
when you speak.
you
So
believe in Shakespeare. That's why you haven't mentioned your name.
no, you are the one who believes in Shakespeare. Sachin. You are the Shakespeare of the group, and and we have seen the effect that Addy has when he speaks, right? So blame it on him, not on me, for forgetting to introduce myself. All right,
Need
we'll catch up
introduction.
with you guys soon, and stay active, stay healthy, and have fun. Okay,
Thank you very much.
see you guys soon.